welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We have finally made it to the first Saturday of October, and man, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a great weekend of college football. 4 ranked versus ranked matchups, and don't worry, we're going to be predicting every single one of those matchups here on the channel starting tomorrow, going Wednesday through Friday. So they're not up here on the board, but we're going to get to them. But today, we're taking a look at 5 games that maybe are flying under the radar. 5 games, though, that are still going to be massive games when it comes to these conference races, and maybe even the college football playoff race as well. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, here with our Week 6 college football predictions. So glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including these expert picks over here, where we are on a 29-11 run over the last 4 weeks. For the last month, we are 29-11. That's over 72% against the spread. If you want guaranteed winnings, guys, if you want to win big with us, this is the place for you. It's a full year-long subscription, full 365 days. So even though we're in Week 6, you would get through Week 6 of next year. So don't miss out on the opportunity, guys. Go sign up. Come win big with us here at the Gridiron Expert. You're not going to find a mark like that anywhere else. You're not going to find customer service like this anywhere else. You're not going to find 24/7 access to us anywhere else. This is the place for you. We want you to sign up and become a part of our team today. Check out our Patreon account as well. That's exclusive college football content there. And our mailing address to not send us gear to our old GEHQ, which is where we are now, but our other one in the majority of our videos so we can represent your team in every single video here on the channel. So let's dive into these games, right? 5 underrated games, and some of you say they're not really underrated. They just don't include ranked versus ranked teams, and that's okay. You start off at the top. We got Maryland at number 4, Ohio State. And man, this is an underrated game. I think at first glance, people go, oh, Maryland, they're going to get killed by Ohio State. Let's move on. This is a Maryland team that's 5-0. This is an undefeated Maryland team taking on a very good, obviously, Ohio State team. A Maryland team that offensively, I think, can hang with Ohio State entering this game. You take a look at this, though. Maryland, yes, is 5-0, and they've won all 5 games by at least 18 points. That's an impressive mark. They're winning convincingly. A couple slow starts in there, but they're winning convincingly. But Ohio State definitely is their first true test, certainly their toughest test of the year. And we know they nearly beat Ohio State last year. The score wouldn't show that, 43-30, but Maryland was in that game, had an opportunity to go win it on the final drive with a few seconds left, and then the strip sack, interception, however you want to phrase it, Ohio State scored with basically no time left to make it a 13-point victory. Maryland, though, has never defeated the Buckeyes. They are 0-8 all-time against Ohio State. The closest they've ever come to winning was last year, and then back in 2018 when they lost 52-51, both those games in College Park. The games in Columbus, they haven't gone too well for the Terrapins. Ohio State has won those pretty convincingly. But you take a look at this, guys. Kyle McCord's been phenomenal, averaging over 298 passing yards per game for the Buckeyes, has the best wide receiver core in the country, and we've known that for months. Maryland, on the other hand, they've got Talia Tagovailoa, who is still absolutely phenomenal, still a heck of a quarterback, but I'm afraid he might not be able to get going as much against a stingy Ohio State defense that's really been good against the pass. One that's only given up over 211 passing yards per game, held Notre Dame and Sam Hartman to 175 passing yards in their win in South Bend. They can do that in South Bend. I think they can do that at home in Columbus. So give me Ohio State to win pretty convincingly. I think about at least 14 points over Maryland. Remain undefeated. Maryland gets their first loss of the year. Going over to the Pac-12, number 13, Washington State at UCLA. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be, any Pac-12 game I feel like this year is going to be fun, super important, because this is a conference with so many elite teams that just beat up on one another. And this is another prime example because we think UCLA is going to take down the 13th ranked team in the country. Great matchup, great quarterback matchup. Cam Ward at Washington State has been phenomenal, over 1,000 almost nearly 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, taking great care of the ball. Dante Moore for UCLA, over 840 yards and 8 touchdowns on the year. Washington State's 406 passing yards per game, led by Cam Ward, against UCLA's very balanced offense, with averaging 250 passing yards per game, but also 205 on the ground. So it's one of those things, can Washington State keep this up? Can Washington State go on the road now to the Rose Bowl, continue their aerial attack, and Cam Moore continue to play at such a high level and wear down this UCLA defense that right now has been really, really good, has been very, very stingy? Or is UCLA going to find a way to wear Washington State down, to be balanced, to find a way to chip away at Jake Dicker's defense that typically is a strength. But if you look at Washington State's numbers, they're giving up over 250 passing yards per game and over 132 on the ground. This is also Washington State's second true road game of the year, and their first since week 1 over a month ago when they traveled to Colorado State. So their big wins against Wisconsin and Oregon State both came in Pullman. Now they're having to go out to LA. Not going to be an easy place to play. Not going to be an easy team to play. UCLA by far is the best offense that Washington State will have seen so far this year. And I think the Bruins and Chip Kelly are able to pull off this upset. It's going to be close, but UCLA beats Washington State and continues to just show the Pac-12 beating up on each other, which in the long run for their playoff hopes is not going to be a good thing. Over in the SEC, number 11, Alabama at Texas A&M. This could have been a top 25 matchup. Some could have made the argument to slip A&M into the top 25. I'm glad they didn't. I don't think the Aggies deserve to be there yet. But when they beat Alabama, they definitely will be. This is going to be a massive upset, guys. I know A&M's only underdogs by about 2.5, 3 points, so someone takes a massive upset, but it is in the fact that Alabama's playoff hopes would be done at this point. If A&M were to beat Alabama on Saturday, Alabama's playoff hopes would be over. LSU's playoff hopes are over, and all those are going to be done by the first weekend of October. That's a pretty crazy thing to think about. And I feel very confident about A&M winning this game. 2 years ago, A&M did win this game in College Station, and to me, in similar fashion, right? An Alabama team that, still had very high aspirations on the year against an A&M team on the road dealing with a backup quarterback, and Zach Calzada at the time ended up beating Alabama. Well, now you've got a backup quarterback for A&M and Max Johnson coming in for Connor Wyden. He beat Arkansas last week. He's a heck of a backup quarterback, and I think he can do it again. I think A&M could do it again. The 12th man's going to play a major role here, and that Aggies defense is ultimately the difference maker. Alabama, as we know, hasn't been as great offensively. They certainly even haven't been as good up front. This is a team that's already allowed 20 sacks so far this year. A&M's defense has 20 sacks on the year already, including 7 last week against Arkansas, against that atrocious Razorback offensive line. But you look at Alabama, can they generate enough points against this A&M defense? Can Jalen Milroe on the road, maybe the toughest environment he's faced so far this year, can they come on the road and take down Texas A&M? Can they score enough points against this Aggies defense that was just so stingy and looked really, really good last week against Arkansas, looked good the week before against Auburn as well? I think A&M in this game owns the line of scrimmage edge. They own the home field advantage edge, which is going to play a major role. And I think A&M pulls off the upset. We predicted this back in the summer. We're going to stick with it. I think the Aggies take down Alabama. The Crimson Tide's playoff hopes will be ruined. Nick Saban will fall to a former assistant for the second time this year. And again, the college football world is going to be sent into chaos, and the SEC West will be sent into absolute chaos. Over here, Syracuse at number 14, North Carolina. This is a good game too. Talk about a sleeper game. I think this is one of them. Both teams are averaging over 460 yards per game. Syracuse 272 through the air, over 190 on the ground. UNC nearly 300 passing yards per game led by Drake May, over 167 on the ground. These are two teams that are relatively balanced. They can be very explosive. But, in a great quarterback battle as well. Drake May, as we mentioned, with North Carolina, Garrett Schrader and his dual threat ability with Syracuse. But I think I like North Carolina quite a bit in this game. I really, really liked Syracuse last week against Clemson. I thought Clemson, coming off that Florida State hangover, going to the Carrier Dome, they don't always play that well. Syracuse have looked really good through their first couple games. I was like, I like Syracuse, and they laid an egg. They really didn't show up to play against Clemson. They struggled. The Clemson defense shut down that offense, couldn't get anything going. It was a bit of a disappointment. So now you got a Syracuse team maybe dealing with a bit of a Clemson hangover, going on the road to face a North Carolina team that's coming off a bye week, so well-rested. And it's a Syracuse team also that gave up over 263 passing yards to Cade Klubnik and Clemson. Solid quarterback, but this is a Clemson offense that really wasn't striking fear in anybody for the most of the year. Now you're facing one of the most prolific offenses in the country, one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Drake May. If you gave that up to Clemson at home, you can only imagine what Drake May is going to do to Syracuse now in his house. I like North Carolina to get the job done. Might be a little bit closer than people think, but the Tar Heels get the win, move on to 5-0, and are once again a legitimate threat in the ACC. And then finally, guys, an intriguing matchup here. We don't really talk too much, for no reason, but we don't really talk too much about the Mountain West or the MAC or the Sun Belt. But we've got a Mountain West matchup on our board today. Number 24, Fresno State at Wyoming. This is a game that has major Mountain West title implications, but also possible New Year's Six Bowl implications. Fresno State, a ranked Group of 5 team, maybe the favorite to go on and win the Mountain West so far. And if they can do that, with 1 or no losses, they will be a Group of 5 representative in a New Year's Six bowl game. So an interesting game here. I love it, though. Both teams are good. Fresno State 5-0, Wyoming 4-1. Both teams have wins over Power 5 opponents. Fresno State has defeated Purdue and Arizona State. Wyoming, back in week 1, took down Texas Tech, and their only loss was to Texas, a game in which they were tied with the Longhorns 10-10 entering the fourth quarters. This Wyoming team is no joke. And it's a clash of styles, right? Fresno State, they want to pass the ball. They want to air it out with Mikey Keene, over 304 passing yards per game. Keene's thrown for over 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns on the year. Wyoming, they want to run. They rush for over 182 rushing yards per game with Harrison Whaley, who already has over 450 yards, 8.6 yards per carry. That's ridiculous. Dude's almost averaging a first down every time he touches the ball. But the difference maker here is Fresno State's defense. Wyoming's defense is strong, but not as strong as it typically is. Fresno State's defense is, though. Only giving up 93 rushing yards per game, only 282 total yards per game. Again, Wyoming's got a strong offensive line. They've got a strong front seven, but they're still giving up over 385 yards per game, over 225 of those coming through the air. You look at what they did against Texas Tech. Yeah, they won the game, but the Red Raiders still had over 338 passing yards in that game. Fresno State and Mikey Keene, I think, can match that. Might not be right at it, but I think they have the ability to do it. At least over 250. And if they can eclipse 250 passing yards, they win this game, and I believe they will. Give me the Bulldogs to win over the Cowboys in what's going to be a very close game, closer than maybe some expect, and one that in the long run, by season's end, is going to have a major impact, not just on the Mountain West, but on the New Year's Six Bowl race as well. So there you have it, guys. 5 underrated games here at the Gridiron Expert. You do not want to miss out on these. You don't want to miss out on the ranked versus ranked matchups we have coming your way as well. 4 of those predictions for those starting right here on the channel tomorrow. Do not miss out on that. These are some games you need to watch out for as well. We're getting to the thick of the college football season, the thick of conference play. Things are about to get real, and you're not going to want to miss any single second of it. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including these expert picks over here. Again, a 29-11 run over the last 4 weeks, and our next Week 6 picks will be released tomorrow, so you do not want to miss out on that. Guaranteed winnings, guaranteed profit. This is the place for you. Full 365-day long subscription. Don't want to miss out. Check out the Patreon account. Check out the mailing address. Check out all of the exclusive offers down in the description below. And once again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.